U.S. reports heavy losses. Deploys fighter jets to Middle East.
Vietnam-Laos bilateral trade turnover targets $10 billion milestone.
Developing rooftop solar power. A boost from new policies.
Hello everyone, you're watching today's news on NTV channel. My name is Đăng. Let's get started. The conflict between the US and Iran continues to escalate as the US Central Command confirmed that 2 US service members were killed, 1 is missing, and 4 were injured in an Iranian ballistic missile attack on Jordan.
This is the biggest loss for the U.S. military since fighting between the two sides resumed after the temporary ceasefire agreement collapsed. On the same day, Iran announced it was suspending the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, MO, with the U.S., accusing Washington of violating all commitments under the agreement, and asserting that Tehran would focus on defending its country. Facing the risk of further conflict expansion, the U.S. has deployed additional refueling aircraft, F-35 and F-16 fighter jets to the Middle East to bolster its combat capabilities. Fighting between the two sides has now entered its 8th consecutive day. The U.S. continues to conduct airstrikes against Iranian military targets, surveillance facilities, and weapons depots, while Tehran carries out retaliatory attacks on U.S. military bases and facilities in Jordan, Kuwait, and Bahrain.
At least 9 people were killed and more than 60 others were wounded in Russia by overnight Ukrainian drone attacks targeting logistics centers. Meanwhile, Russia retaliates with airstrikes on Odessa.
In a social media announcement, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine attacked 2 major logistics facilities in the Moscow and Tambov provinces, along with an oil facility. According to Zelensky, the attack was in retaliation for Russian airstrikes targeting Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. For its part, the Russian Ministry of Defense also stated that its armed forces used precision weapons and drones to attack ports used to transport goods for the Ukrainian army in Odessa.
Within the framework of the Vietnam-Laos Trade Fair 2026 in Vientiane, the Vietnam-Laos Business Matching Workshop 2026 was held under the theme Connecting Businesses, Expanding Markets toward the $10 billion USD Vietnam-Laos trade target.
Reports at the workshop highlighted positive growth in the bilateral trade balance, driven by the effective implementation of bilateral and border trade agreements, to achieve the $10 billion trade turnover milestone ahead of schedule. Both sides outlined key tasks for the upcoming period, pledging to support and facilitate trade through synchronized promotional mechanisms across both digital and in-person platforms. To create a breakthrough, both nations must urgently untangle chronic bottlenecks by upgrading the infrastructure of the East-West Economic Corridor, optimizing customs clearance processes at border gates to cut logistics costs, and finalizing local currency payment mechanisms. The seminar concluded with dozens of memorandums of understanding, MOUs, and principal contracts signed directly between businesses from both sides.
Coming up next are some dated news.
Nghệ Provincial People's Committee has just issued an official dispatch directing local authorities to review planned areas for special use, protection, and production forests. The review also targets areas eligible for natural regeneration, zoning, or supplementary planting to implement replacement afforestation. The Department of Agriculture and Rural Development has been tasked with formulating a fund utilization plan, reviewing replacement afforestation unit costs to match local realities, and appraising designs and cost estimates for silvicultural projects in compliance with state regulations. Furthermore, the Provincial People's Committee requested institutional forest owners including Phu Mat National Park, various nature reserves, and protection forest management boards to proactively review available land funds. They are urged to accelerate new planting, zoning for natural regeneration, and forest enrichment, thereby contributing to the protection and sustainable expansion of the province's forest cover.
All 4 quarters Vietnamese students participating in the 58th International Chemistry Olympiad won gold medals. 3 of the gold medals were won by students from Hanoi, Amsterdam High School for the Gifted, including Nguyen Man Tuan, Nguyen The Min, and Tran Hoang Nam, all 12th grade students, and Din Zon Phuc, a 12th grade student at Vinh Phuc High School for the Gifted. Phu Tho Province. In terms of the number of gold medals, the Vietnamese delegation ranked first with the countries, China, India. This year's International Chemistry Olympiad is held in Tashkent, Uzbekistan from July 10 to 19, 2026.
On the evening of July 18, thousands of residents and visitors gathered along Tran Phu Street in Nha Trang Ward, Khanh Hoa Province, to take part in the Carnival Float Parade, one of the highlights of the Khanh Hoa Sea Festival 2026. Held under the theme, Symphony of the Blue Sea, a convergence of colors. The event drew thousands of local and international visitors. Through art, music, and large-scale float models, the program conveyed a message about developing the marine economy while preserving heritage, protecting the environment, and integrating internationally. The colorful carnival contributed to portraying the image of Khanh Hoa as a modern, dynamic, and hospitable province. The program featured 10 floats, over 1,500 artists, artisans, actors, beauty queens, and domestic and international art troupes.
By reducing electricity bills, giving consumers a proactive energy source, and easing pressures on the national power grid, rooftop solar is increasingly proving its practical value.
A wave of new policies is opening up major development opportunities for rooftop solar. Notably, the government's Decree 243/2026, which took effect on June 26, allows the sale of surplus electricity at a rate higher than 50% of the generated output until the end of 2030. Additionally, under this decree, households installing rooftop solar systems only need to submit an online registration notification to local regulatory authorities and power companies. Driven by these new policies, many residents are beginning to seek consultations and survey installations, hoping to optimize their electricity bills. State agencies need to provide more specific details regarding loan packages. There should also be meetings or communication campaigns so that people clearly understand how surplus electricity will be sold. Boasting high solar radiation hours, particularly in its western and coastal areas, Nghệ An is recognized as a region with immense potential for rooftop solar development. According to data from the Department of Industry and Trade, in the first 6 months of the year, approximately 630 households registered for installation, with a total capacity of nearly 5.3 megawatts.
With these supportive state policies in place, our enterprise will be able to expand our market reach and scale up our business operations very rapidly.
Although the regulatory mechanism has become more open, initial investment costs remain a major barrier for many households. A solar system equipped with a battery energy storage system, BESS, requires a substantial capital investment, while the payback period spans several years. Consequently, many residents hope for additional credit support programs or preferential interest rates to alleviate the financial pressure of investment.
I hope the state will introduce loan support policies with low interest rates for residents to access solar power. Many people want to use solar energy, but the initial installation cost is currently a bit too high.
Rooftop solar power not only helps citizens save on electricity expenses but also contributes to diversifying supply sources, developing distributed generation, and easing the burden on the national power grid. Therefore, Promptly translating new policies into practice coupled with synchronized and effective implementation guidelines will be the key to unlocking investment resources, accelerating renewable energy development, and ensuring sustainable national energy security.
This is the end of the show today. Thank you for watching.